you can hear the rain outside or not. I just figured I'd kind of give you an update on me as a person. It's been, I don't know how long since they started this quarantine stuff, and it's been even longer since I've been in a rather large group. Yeah. To me, it's almost like a normal day. As usual, I live a pretty isolated life anyway. The only difference is now I don't have the opportunity to get out of the house and go to a building to do my schoolwork. I'm still expected to do the schoolwork, but just at home. And, yeah. Today I was kind of pondering and thinking, would I have actually realized how lonely I truly was if I had never actually got out of the house in the first place? Like, if I had ever, had I just stayed on the farm and done what I was doing beforehand. In a way, loneliness is the side effect of socialization, from my perspective. I used to actually hide, in a way. I didn't want to go nowhere. I was enjoying my video games and watching TV shows quite often. Yeah. One of the things I missed from before I went to school was my ability to actually dive deep into the Bible. To me, the Bible is the source material for creation. It's like the very essence of life, in a way. Without it, there is no moral guidance. This is my perspective. Maybe you don't share that opinion, I don't know. What I do know is we've all experienced hard times, and without faith in something, those times are even harder. When you don't believe that you could get through it, or that there is something in control of the situation, it is very easy to focus on the problem and exaggerate it beyond your comprehension. For me, it's kind of hard to relate with others. Not just because I live a rather secluded life in comparison to many, but I also struggle with understanding if people are joking. Like, I normally take things literally because it's safer to assume that they mean it than to assume that everyone's joking all the time. It might be a defense mechanism in me, but whenever someone asks me to do something, I don't expect it to be a joke. I rarely ever really notice when it's a joke whenever it's a serious topic. It's like someone could say, "Go commit not alive," and I'm like, "What? You're telling me to what? That makes no sense to me." Yeah, people are cruel sometimes. The way they joke is not funny. And I do enjoy comedy. Honestly, I do. But the kind of comedy that I grew up with, it's just not what people are using nowadays. At least not to the same extent. I sometimes have a very hard time telling if people are just tired or sad or angry with me. I rely more so on vocal patterns and pitch than facial expressions. Yes, I can identify a smile, but I also try to look at their eyes, and I can't really distinguish if they're just faking or not sometimes. It's really hard to tell if someone's like, yeah, just putting on a face, or if they're like, oh yeah, that's great, And you would think that having learned acting as a child would help with these things. But honestly, sometimes I wonder if it helped at all. And I don't enjoy being fake. But sometimes it's hard to tell if I'm being real or not with myself. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it really can be hard to tell if you're truly being 100% honest with yourself. I dream almost every night. Sometimes I hear things in my dreams. Don't we all, right? I don't know. I tend to be more worried when I don't dream. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because I'm so used to seeing things as I'm asleep. As I've grown, I realized that most of my problems that I have struggled with and faced aren't really someone else to blame, it's me. Usually it's my fault that people don't understand me. It's not that they don't have the ability to understand me, and it's not that they don't try to listen to me or even consider trying to understand me. It's just I don't talk perfectly all the time. My intention for what I'm saying sometimes doesn't really match how others perceive it. And that's one of the things that I struggle with the most, is understanding perception and emotion. Like, how does my emotions translate into my speech and affect their perception of what I'm saying? These kinds of things are very hard to grasp, and I might have some special abilities when it comes to intelligence. I might be slightly above average, but honestly, that's just enough to make up for the fact that it takes a lot of time to process. And I really have to work hard on some things. I'm not trying to say have sympathy for me. I'm not asking you for that. I'm asking you to just hear me out. I struggle with the concept of race, not just from a psychological standpoint, but from a moral standpoint. When people want to make everything a race issue, I'm like, wait a minute. Aren't you, what is being racist except for trying to make something a race issue? I don't understand. I see people as people. I don't try to latch on their skin tone as an identity. I might latch on their belief system as an identity, or the fact that they're male or female genetically as an identity. But I don't see skin tone as an identity thing. It doesn't make sense to me. I really don't like politics. I don't watch the news. I understand that a lot of things are going crazy right now because of something to do with the policeman. And there's this virus supposedly going around. What I know is I haven't been able to go to my school physically to do classes and enjoy an environment where there are other people, even if they're challenging to relate with and to communicate with. I still have a emotional need to experience others. And I still have a basic problem that I have been trying to wrap my mind around. Because I am 29 years old right now. And I feel so far behind. Because what is expected of my age group is to have a job, have a family, and to be somewhat financially stable. You know, and because I am slightly more intelligent in a few ways, I'm not saying in every way, in a few ways I'm slightly more intelligent. People like me are expected to be groundbreaking, to accomplish great things, to move mountains practically. But deadlines and due dates are hard to keep up with. Yes, I do get accommodations to help me with my schoolwork. But that's not because of my skin tone. That's because I have problems that aren't exactly obvious to others because I try so hard I have tried so hard to learn how to communicate effectively. I have tried hard to learn business strategies and different personality types. I've tried to understand others. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna be me. I'm not always gonna meet your expectations. What I see of the world is a system that is utterly complex. And half of the complexity that I see nowadays is made by us, people. I'm not referring to any race or gender, I'm referring to people. Us people, we make things even more complex than they have to be. We make the struggles harder half the time. But the Bible gives us simple rules, guidelines, instructions. It's a way of life. It's not just a book. It's so much more than just stories on a page. And yet, so many people are missing it because they're not living it. They're not even trying to live it. And that's sad. In the past, I've made my problems worse by thinking that I was going to test God, as it were, or how it could be perceived. It could be perceived that I was trying to test God, but honestly, the test was on me. I was asking for signs. I thought I saw the signs. But really what was happening was I was seeing what I wanted to see. And that realization really hurts. Especially when you realize you're interfering with other people's lives, not just your own. Don't know how many people I've actually hurt with what happened in the past. What I do know is I really, really hurt myself. And I cried hours and days. Because I really believed that I was getting what I was asking for. And we've all had those moments when we've tried so hard, got so close, and then realized we weren't even halfway there. I have to accept that everything is happening for a reason. I have to accept, because I've seen things that aren't explainable to me. I've seen things that don't really make sense with normal logic. According to man-made rules and science, I've seen some weird things. But, yeah. Some might call it delusions. Others might call it manifestations. Some might call it just insanity. It doesn't matter what you call it. What matters is the truth. And the truth is not relative. Truth, by basic definition, is facts that are unchangeable and permanent. From my perspective, I have to accept that everything happens for a reason, and that His will be done in the end. It doesn't matter if it's these riots out there, or fires in the mountains, or this virus supposedly floating around out there, locking everyone up in their houses. There is a reason for this. I might not know it. I might not know what the reason is. But I'm sure that if you look around, you can see some positive effect. Even if it looks terrible. I can literally say I was born with a broken heart. I was missing the main wall between both sides. Nearly completely missing it. Large hole right in the center of my heart. It still aches almost every day, even though they patched it. They didn't expect me to make it out of the womb, and they didn't expect me to make it to 18 with the patch that they gave me. I am now 29 years old. I might not have accomplished great things, but whenever I was little, and the teacher would ask me, what did I want to be when I grow up? During those brief times when I was actually in a public school, which was like kindergarten and a weird stint where it was like 4th grade, 3rd grade, weird stuff. Anyway, elementary school. at Fort Campbell. Anyway, every time I was asked, what do I want to be when I grow up? I said alive. That was my first response, was alive. Because I knew that tomorrow isn't guaranteed. From a very young age, I knew tomorrow was not guaranteed. And they would specify, they would be like, for a job. And I was like, completely drawing a blank. And then I'm like, you know what, being an inventor sounds great. But, because you get to build things. But, yeah, honestly, I haven't invented a thing as far as I know. I'm sorry if I've hurt you, but I just have, all I can do is wait. I'm still waiting. Sometimes it seems like you're never going to get your reward. Like every time you move forward, you're actually going backwards. And sometimes it's very disheartening. And sometimes your perception is so messed up. And that's when you really need your Bible. Because when things aren't right up here, it's usually because you don't have enough of that in there. Yeah, you can memorize scripture till you're blue in the face, but true belief isn't about having it fully memorized. It's helpful to have it memorized. It's excellently beneficial, because you don't know what you know until you know it. Anyway, I needed to get all this off my chest, and even if you didn't hear all of it, it does help me to record or feel like I'm doing something for someone else. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's part of me. And thank you for being there. Alright, I'll see you later.